Good morning all of you. This is 11th class biology, lecture 4 of chapter 3, plant kingdom. We have already done two divisions of plant kingdom. So today we will do the third division of plant kingdom, and that is pteridophytes. So in this lecture we will do the general features of pteridophytes, then economic importance of the pteridophytes, and also about the reproduction of pteridophytes and life cycle. So here these are general features of the pteridophytes. Pteridophytes include horsetails and ferns. So here you can see these are horsetail and these are fern. So pteridophytes include all the ferns and horsetail. Now they are found in cool, damp, shady places. Okay, damp means little wet and shady places. So these are habitat for the pteridophytes. Some flourish well in sandy soil conditions. Okay, some pteridophytes can grow in sandy soil as well. Evolutionarily, they are the first terrestrial plant to possess the vascular tissues. Means these are the land plants, the first land plant you can say, which possess vascular tissues, xylem and phloem. Xylem is used for the transport of water and phloem for the transport of food. So both xylem and phloem are vascular tissues of the plant, and pteridophytes are first terrestrial plants which possess xylem and phloem. Now in bryophytes, the dominant phase is gametophyte. As you know, you have done about the bryophytes in the previous lecture. The dominant phase in the bryophytes, either it is liverworts or the mosses. In both, dominant phase was gametophyte. Okay, but in pteridophytes, the dominant phase is sporophyte. Dominant phase means main plant body, which live for longer time. Okay, so main plant body is sporophyte in case of pteridophytes. So this is the first difference you can say in bryophytes and pteridophytes. Okay, that here the dominant phase is sporophyte. Now this sporophyte is differentiated into true root, stem and leaves. Okay, sporophyte of the pteridophytes is differentiated. As you know, in the bryophytes differentiation had started. Okay, but the true leaves, stem and root structures were not present. But here in the pteridophytes, true root, stem and leaves are present. These organs have well differentiated vascular tissue. Okay, so these are features of the pteridophytes. So what are the differences? First, sporophytic phase is present here. Second, in the gametophyte, root-like, stem-like and leaves-like structure were present, but here true stem, root and leaves are present. Okay. Third difference, vascular tissues were not differentiated. Okay, in the bryophytes, but here the well differentiated vascular tissues means xylem and phloem are present. After that, the leaves in pteridophyta are small, and those are called microphylls. Phylls means leaves, micro means small. So leaves, small leaves in pteridophyta are called microphylls, as in Selaginella. Okay, Selaginella is an example of a pteridophyte, and here microphylls means small leaves are found, or these can be large, which are called macrophylls. Macro means large, phylls means leaves. Okay, and example is in ferns. Okay, so these are two examples: Selaginella, in which microphylls are found, and second, ferns, in which macrophylls are found. Diagram of Selaginella is shown here. These leaves, you can say, these are very small leaves which are present here, and these are called microphylls. And here in this diagram you can see stem, leaves and roots also. Okay, so this is stem, this is root, and these are leaves. Okay, so these true stem, root and leaves are present in the pteridophytes. After that, let's come to the economic importance of pteridophytes. how these are economically important. So they are used for medicinal purposes. Okay, many pteridophytes are used to make medicines. Second thing, they are used as soil binders. Soil binders because they prevent the soil erosion. Okay, when these are present on the soil surface, these just bind the soil and prevent the soil erosion. Third importance is they are grown as ornamentals. As you know, many ferns you might have seen around you for the ornamental purpose. Okay, so for decoration you can say. Okay, so for decoration or for the ornamental purpose, many pteridophytes are used. Now, reproduction in pteridophytes. So, if we're talking about the reproduction, then we will talk about the two states here. Okay, the gametophyte and the sporophyte. And as I have already told you that sporophyte is the means dominant phase in the life cycle of pteridophyte. So, let's start with the sporophyte. That the sporophytes bear sporangia. Here in the pteridophytes, the sporophyte structure has a structure that is called sporangia, that are subtended by the leaf-like appendages called sporophylls. Okay, now these sporangia, these are covered by some leaf-like structure. Okay, leaf-like appendages. And what are those leaf-like structure? Those are sporophylls. So sporangia are present inside the sporophylls, you can say. See this diagram. In this, these are megaphyll. Okay, mega means large, phyll means leaf. Okay, so these are large leaves, you can say. Okay, word macrophyll can also be used here. Macro means also large. Okay, so macrophyll, megaphyll, both are same thing. So these large size leaves you can see here, and here on these leaves, these are megasporangium. Okay, the enlarged view is shown here. You can see here the structure, these structure. Okay, all these are sporangium. Enlarged view you can see here. This structure is called sporangium. And what is present inside this sporangium? All this tissue, means the tissue present inside the sporangium is called sporogenous tissue. Right? So this is a immature sporangium having sporogenous tissue. After that, in some cases, sporophylls form distinct compact structures. Okay, the sporophylls means the leaf-like structure, leaf-like appendages, which subtend the sporangium. Okay, so those sporophylls can form a compact structure in some cases, and that structure made by the sporophylls is called strobili or cones. Okay, that can be called strobili or cones. So see here, this is a strobilus. This cone-like structure you can see here, and this is called a strobilus. Strobilus means a singular form, and here strobili word is used for the plural form, right? An example of such a case, such a pteridophyte in which this strobilus is present is equisetum. So this pteridophyte is equisetum. Also, this type of strobilus can be seen in Selaginella. Selaginella is another pteridophyte in which strobilus is present. Okay, here you can see in this equisetum, as I have told you that true leaves, roots and stems are present in the pteridophyte. So you can see those structures also here. Okay, these leaves are present here. This is stem. Okay, between these two leaves, what is this? This is called internode. Right, the gap between from one node to another node, and here these are nodes, this one and this one. Okay, this portion between two nodes is called internode. So this portion is internode, right? This is rhizome and these are roots, right? Now this sporangia, now you know what are sporangia. Okay, so this sporangia can be in the form of strobilus, or these can be subtended by the sporophyll, right? So these sporangia produce spores, As you have seen in the diagram, inside the sporangia, sporogenous tissue is present. Okay, so how these spores are produced here inside the sporangia? These spores are produced by meiosis division in spore mother cell. From where the spore mother cell came? The sporogenous tissue which is present inside the sporangia will form the spore mother cell. And then this spore mother cell undergoes meiosis division and forms spores. Okay, you can note down this thing. What happened? First of all, the sporogenous tissue present inside the sporangia forms the spore mother cell, and then this spore mother cell undergoes meiosis division and forms the spores. After that, what will happen with the spores? The spores germinate. Okay, spores will germinate to give rise in conspicuous, means very small in size, the structure which is not easily noticeable. Okay, so in inconspicuous, small, multicellular, made up of more than one cell, and free living. So here this is free living structure, means not attached with the sporophyte. Okay, mostly photosynthetic, means can perform photosynthetic, and thalloid. Thalloid means not differentiated into root, stems and leaves. So such type of gametophytes. So you can say these spores germinate to form the gametophytes. And what are the features of these gametophytes? These are inconspicuous, small, multicellular, free living, photosynthetic and thalloid structures. So such a gametophyte is formed from the spore, right? And this gametophyte is called prothallus. Okay, so in short you can say spores germinate to form the prothallus. What is this prothallus? This is a gametophyte. And what are the features of gametophyte? You have seen here, right? Now what will happen with this prothallus? This prothallus requires cool, damp, means little wet, shady places to grow. Okay, such type of places it need to grow. As you know, the habitat for the pteridophytes. Okay, so the same places it require to grow. Also it need water for the fertilization. Okay, this prothallus also need water for the fertilization. Fertilization means fusion of the gametes. Okay, because this prothallus is the structure which gives rise to the gametes. Okay, because what is this prothallus? This is gametophyte, and you know gametophyte is the structure which give rise to the gametes. So gametes will be formed here, and for the fertilization there will be need of water. So you can say prothallus requires water also for the fertilization. So the spread of pteridophytes is limited. Okay, so this is the reason that pteridophyte spread is limited, means these are found in some limited places. Okay, because water is a necessity for the fertilization. Okay, and that is not available everywhere. That's why their spread is limited. This is the reason for the limited spread of the pteridophytes. And also it is restricted to the narrow geographical region. Narrow geographical region means if a plant is present only in some specific areas, that is called narrow geographical region or narrow geographical distribution, we can say. After that, the gametophytes. What are gametophytes? Prothallus. Okay, so this gametophyte bear male and female sex organs. Okay, that is the same thing that was with the bryophytes, that the gametophyte structure bear the sex organs. Okay, so here also gametophyte bear male and female sex organs, and these are called antheridia. Means the male sex organ is called antheridia and the female sex organ is called archegonia. So this is also a similar that was in the bryophyte. Okay, so you need to learn only one time these things: antheridia male sex organ and archegonia female sex organ in both, that is pteridophyte or the bryophytes. Okay, after that you see here in this diagram what is seen. This is sporophyte. Okay, this is the dominant phase of a pteridophyte, you can say. So this is sporophyte. Here the root, stem and leaves, all these structures are present, right? Now what happened? Here subtended by the leaves, what will be present? Sporangium. So enlarged view is shown here. So this is sporangium, which is subtended by the leaves here. Okay, so this sporangium is present here. Now this sporangium, the sporogenous tissue present inside the sporangium makes the spores. So this is a spore formed by the sporangium. Right, now the spore germinate to form the prothallus. So you can see here this structure, this is prothallus, which has been formed from the spore. And what is another name for this gametophyte? This can also be called prothallus, right? So this is prothallus or gametophyte, you can say, which bear male and female sex organs, and then after the fertilization of gamete it gives rise to the sporophyte again. Okay, now see here, as I told you that water is needed for the transfer of the gametes. Transfer of gametes, and which gametes will be transferred here? Male gamete. And you know, male gamete are called antherozoid. So this name is also same as it was in bryophytes. Okay, in bryophytes also male gamete is called antherozoid, right? So here also male gamete, that is called antherozoid, and that is produced inside the antheridium. Plural form we can say antheridia or antheridium. Okay, so antherozoids produced inside the antheridia will require water for the transfer up to the mouth of the archegonium, because in the archegonium what is present? Egg. Okay, archegonium is the female sex organ in which egg is present. So for the fertilization, male gametes means antherozoid need to travel up to the mouth of archegonium, right? Now antherozoid fuses with the egg in the archegonium. Okay, after the traveling, antherozoid will fuse with the egg that is present inside the archegonium and will form the zygote. Right? Now this zygote develop to form a multicellular, well differentiated sporophyte. So this is how the sporophyte is formed here. What happened? The zygote which has been formed will develop and will form a multicellular structure that is well differentiated, and that structure is called sporophyte. After that, most of the pteridophytes produce similar kind of spore. Okay, let's talk about the spores also. We are saying that the spores germinate and form the gametophyte. Now you must know about the kinds of spores also here. Okay, so in most of the pteridophytes, similar kind of spores are produced, and similar kinds of spores are called homospores, and such plants or such pteridophytes will be called homosporous plants. Okay, homo means same, sporous means having the spores. So the plants having the similar spores will be called homosporous plants. Others produce two kinds of the spores. Okay, and these spores will be macro or mega. It can be called macro or mega, means large size spores, and microspores means small size spores. Okay, so in some plants two kinds of spores are produced. Some spores will be small in size and some spores will be large in size, and such plants will be called heterosporous plants. Right? Heterosporous plants means the plants having two kinds of spores, macrospores and microspores. And examples of some plants are having the heterospores are Selaginella and Salvinia. Here you can see these are spores of Selaginella. This plant you can see, this is Selaginella, and these are the spores of Selaginella. This one is microspore. You can see this is small in size, and this spore is megaspore as it is large in size. Okay, the structure you don't need to do right now because it's not included in your syllabus. You just see the size of spores here, that these are microspores and these are megaspores or macrospores. You can say these are spores of Selaginella. In Salvinia also there are two different kinds of spores are produced. Okay, so what is the role of these two kinds of spores, means megaspore and microspore? So you know that most of the time male gamete is smaller in size than female gamete. We can say female gamete is larger in size in most of the cases. So by keeping this thing in mind, you can easily learn this thing that the megaspores present here give rise to the female gametophyte. As you know, function of the spores, spores form the gametophyte after germination, right? So here when the megaspores germinate, these will form the female gametophyte, and the microspores after germination will give rise to the male gametophyte. Okay, so these two gametophytes will be formed here from two different spores, right? Female gametophyte from the megaspores and the male gametophyte from the microspores. Now the female gametophytes are retained on the parent sporophytes, right? The sporophytes have been produced the sporangium in which these spores have been produced. So what happened here? Female gametophyte is not free living here. That remain attached with the sporophyte for variable period. Okay, for variable period means for in different plants it remains attached for the variable periods. After that, within female gametophytes, zygotes develop into young embryos. Now what happened? Antherozoids which are produced inside the male gametophyte will travel through the water and will reach to the archegonium, or you can say will reach to the archegonium or up to the female gametophyte, because archegonium is present in the female gametophyte now. So that will reach to the female gametophyte, then fertilization will occur and zygote will be formed. Okay, so where this zygote will be formed? In the female gametophyte, right? And this female gametophyte is attached with the sporophyte, right? So the zygote develop into the young embryos. Within the female gametophyte, that zygote that has been formed after the fertilization will develop into young embryo. And this event is a precursor to the seed habit. Okay, what is the meaning of this sentence? That this event, which event? That development of zygote within the female gametophyte. Okay, here I am saying that zygote develop within the female gametophyte. That zygote after the development is making embryo. So that embryo has been formed within the female gametophyte here. Okay, as you recall that in case of bryophyte, the embryo, that zygote development was not occurring inside the female gametophyte, but here zygote development is occurring inside the female gametophyte, and this thing can be called a precursor of the seed habit, because up to this division of the plant kingdom seeds are not present. Okay, these are seedless plant, right? But the next division of the plant kingdom, that is gymnosperms. Okay, the gymnosperms will have the seeds. Okay, so we can say we are doing these divisions in sequence, right? So up to here seeds are not present, but this event can be called as a precursor of seed habit. Mean plant is towards a habit to form the seed. Okay, where the seed is formed? Seed is formed inside the ovary, means inside the female sex organ that is formed, that seed is formed, right? In case of gymnosperms. So because here the zygote development is occurring inside the female gametophyte, so it can be called that it is towards this plant is towards a seed habit. Okay, and in the next division of the plant kingdom seeds are formed. So this can be called a precursor to the seed habit. It is considered as an important step in evolution. Evolution means, as you know, all the plants and all the animals have been evolved from one phylum to another phylum, and in case of plants from one division to next division of the plant. So algae has been evolved to form the bryophytes, then bryophytes have been evolved to form the pteridophytes, and then pteridophytes evolved to form the gymnosperms. So here the pteridophytes are adapting the seed habit, okay, and with the time they get evolved to form the gymnosperms. So we can say that pteridophytes form the gymnosperms with the evolution. Okay, so this precursor of seed habit can be seen here in case of pteridophyte, and this habit is also considered as the important step in evolution, because we know that gymnosperms means the seeded plants have been evolved from the pteridophytes. Now let's take a recap of the life cycle of the pteridophytes. You have done about the reproduction in the pteridophytes. Now let's see how the complete life cycle occur in pteridophytes. So with the help of this diagram you can understand it better. See here, these are megaphylls, the leaves where the sporangium is present. Okay, you have seen this diagram, right? So this sporangium is present here, and inside the sporangium sporogenous tissue is present here. Okay, how it has been formed, how this sporophyte structure having these leaves has been formed? It has been formed from this embryo. Okay, from where this embryo is coming? It is coming from the zygote. Okay, zygote developed to form the embryo. So this is embryo structure, and this embryo structure is forming this complete sporophyte structure here, right? So this sporophyte has been formed after the development of zygote. Now on this sporophyte structure, sporangium is present, and inside the sporangium there will be meiosis division. Here you can see meiosis division will occur, and after meiosis what will happen? You see here, after the meiosis these spores will be formed here. Okay, so spores have been formed here inside the inside this sporangium. Okay, this sporangium will break, or you can say dehiscing. Dehiscing means breaking of the sporangium, and these spores will come out. Okay, now these spores germinate, and after germination gametophyte is formed. So this is young gametophyte formed after the germination of spores. So this is mature gametophyte having these rhizoids type structure and this heart shape. This is a mature gametophyte. Now here on the mature gametophyte, male and female sex organs are present. The female sex organ is called archegonium. So this is archegonium, where this egg is forming, means the female gamete is forming, and this is antheridium, where antherozoids, means the male gametes are formed, right? Now what happened? After the maturation, this antheridium will dehisce, means it will break and will release the male gametes, means antherozoids, which can be called sperms also. Okay, so antherozoids will be released here, and here this egg. So these released antherozoids will come to meet with the egg. Okay, at the mouth of the archegonium. This is mouth of the archegonium. So these antherozoids will come here at the mouth of archegonium to fuse with the egg, and after the fusion zygote will be formed. Okay, so you can see here this zygote has been formed inside the archegonium. This structure is archegonia. So this zygote is formed here, and then this zygote gives rise to the embryo, as you have seen in the previous diagram, right? So this is complete cycle. I was not able to show you this complete life cycle or this complete diagram in one slide. That's why I have shown you like this. Okay, you just make it in the form of a complete cycle, that after the zygote embryo is formed, then embryo after development makes the sporophyte, and then the sporophyte is having that sporangium. Okay, let's join this diagram with the previous one. Okay, and make a complete cycle. You don't need to make all these diagrams. Okay, like these cells are shown here and this structure. Okay, you don't need to make all the diagrams. Just make the diagrams that are well understood to you, but that is not in your syllabus to make all the diagrams. Okay, so what you need to do here, you just make a life cycle of the pteridophytes and write down the names of the stages. Write down the names of all these stages. Without the diagram you can do that. Okay, just write down here the mature dehiscing sporangium, then release of spores, then germination of spores, then formation of the gametophyte. After that on the gametophyte, male and female sex organs, which are antheridium and archegonium are present. Okay, so just write all these names and make this cycle. So this is also your homework. Make this complete cycle of the pteridophyte life cycle in your notebook, right? Now these are some examples, or you can say there are different classes of the pteridophytes, and these are some examples of the pteridophytes which are included in the different classes. So this is first class of the pteridophyte, that is Psilopsida. There are total 4 classes which are under the pteridophytes. First is Psilopsida, and Psilopsida includes the pteridophyte Psilotum. So Psilotum is an example of the pteridophyte which is under the Psilopsida. Okay, Psilopsida, Psilotum, both are similar. Okay, so you can learn it easily. Then Lycopsida as the next class, and examples of the pteridophytes under the Lycopsida is Selaginella and Lycopodium. So Lycopodium and Lycopsida both are similar now, so you can easily learn it. And Selaginella, from the starting of this chapter I am giving you the example of the Selaginella, okay, so you can learn it also. After that, next 2 classes are, one is Sphenopsida. Okay, this is called Sphenopsida, and example of Sphenopsida is Equisetum. Equisetum example also I gave you in the previous slides. Okay, and this is the diagram of Equisetum. This is given in your NCERT book also. A diagram of Equisetum where the strobilus is present. Okay, so strobilus are formed in the Equisetum. So you can learn the name of Equisetum as an example of pteridophyte which is under the Sphenopsida. Then next class is Pteropsida. Okay, and in the Pteropsida there are examples Dryopteris and Pteris. Okay, this is very easy, I think, to learn. Pteris and Dryopteris. Okay, both are the similar. Pteris, Dryopteris and Pteropsida. Okay, these are similar now. Pteropsida, Pteris, Dryopteris, like these are the examples of pteridophytes under the Pteropsida. And also one more example is given here, that is Adiantum. Now your homework based on the today's topics, NCERT question number 8 and part 5th and 6th of the 8th question, and also question number 9 part 3. Now let's discuss the previous lectures homework. Question number 8 of NCERT, first part I gave as homework, first, second and third part I gave as homework, okay, in previous lecture. So first part is asking what is Protonema. So Protonema is the haploid stage in the bryophyte life cycle. You have already done about the life cycle of bryophyte, and Protonema is the haploid stage in the life cycle of bryophyte where thread-like chain of cells are formed. Here you can see these thread-like chains of cells are formed here. Okay. Example, in Mosses, Protonema develops directly from a spore. So from where this Protonema is coming? When the spores germinate, the first stage that is formed is called Protonema, and this Protonema is formed in the case of Mosses only. Okay, it is not found in liverworts, it is found in Mosses only. So in case of Mosses, when the spores germinate, those spores give rise a structure like this. Okay, and this structure is called Protonema, and this structure present here above the Protonema is called bud. So this is a bud over the Protonema. These all are the branches of the Protonema. Okay. Now second part of 8th question, NCERT 8th question, second part. It is asking what is Antheridium. So Antheridium, I have told you so many times that Antheridium is the male sex organ that produce male gametes. Okay, obviously if the male sex organ, then it will produce the male gametes in bryophytes and also in pteridophytes. Okay, in both Antheridium is male sex organ. Now Archegonium, that also you know, Archegonium is the female reproductive organ that is in bryophyte as well as in pteridophytes, right? So female reproductive organ of bryophyte, which is flask shaped and produces a single egg. Okay, inside the Archegonium a single egg is produced. Observed in pteridophytes also. Also it is found in gymnosperms. Okay, so next division that you will learn will be gymnosperms, and in that also you will see that Archegonium is present. Okay, so it is found in gymnosperms also. The only difference is in bryophytes they are jacketed and multicellular. Okay, jacketed means the layer of sterile cells is present around the archegonium. So it is called jacketed, and it is multicellular, made up of more than one cells. Answer of NCERT question number 9, second part. And the question was differentiate liverworts and mosses. So these are the differences between liverworts and mosses are bryophytes. Both are the types of bryophytes. Okay, what is the difference? In liverworts, protonema stage is absent, right? The protonema stage that we have done today in the first question, answer of first question. Okay, so protonema stage is absent in liverworts, and in mosses life cycle begins with the protonema. Okay, so in mosses it is present, but in liverworts it is absent. So this is the first difference between the liverwort and mosses. Second is, in liverworts plant body is dorsoventral, whereas in mosses plant body is differentiated into a stem axis, right? Third difference is rhizoids are unicellular in liverworts. This difference I told you in previous lecture as well, that in case of liverworts rhizoids are unicellular, but in case of mosses rhizoids are multicellular and branched. Okay, after that fourth difference is, in mosses sporophyte is more elaborate, while in case of liverworts sporophyte is less elaborate. More elaborate means the complete the three parts of the sporophyte, foot, seta and capsule are well differentiated. Okay, but in case of liverworts sometimes even the foot part is absent. Okay, so it is called less elaborate, and but in case of mosses it is called more elaborate. I hope all these answers are clear to you. Thank you.